Passover adds an especially intricate layer to any discussion of novel foods, and precision fermented products are no exception. Even though these ingredients may never touch a grain kernel or a fermentation vat containing gluten, halakhic scrutiny becomes far more exacting in the weeks leading up to Pesach. What makes this conversation surprisingly optimistic is that the very features that challenge kashrut agencies, synthetic substrates, programmable microbes, ultra-controlled fermentation, can also help create unusually clean, traceable, and kosher-friendly production lines that fit Pesach requirements more easily than many conventional foods. The first question always returns to chametz. Were any of the inputs derived from wheat, barley, rye, oats, or spelt in a fermented state? Precision fermentation usually relies on feedstocks such as glucose, sucrose, or glycerol, each sourced from sugar beets, cane sugar, corn, or other non-grain crops. This is already a favorable starting point, because if a company can verify that its sugars are free from wheat-derived starches or processing aids, the entire system begins on a Pesach-friendly foundation. In traditional food manufacturing, enzymes or yeast sometimes come from grain-based fermentation, but precision fermentation allows certifiers to pinpoint every microorganism, every nutrient broth component, and every anti-foam agent to ensure that nothing even remotely chametz enters the vessel. From there, halacha asks whether the fermentation medium behaves like a true chametz fermentation. Even if no grain is present, a halakhic concern may arise if the substrate is sourced from facilities that also process grain-based syrups, or if cross-contact could occur during shipping, storage, or preliminary refining. Because precision fermentation requires exceptional sterility and consistency, manufacturers often use dedicated lines or single-purpose tanks that avoid such contamination entirely, which is an advantage for Pesach certification. The meticulous documentation, batch logs, and digital tracking systems typical of biotech facilities make it easier for certifiers to confirm the absence of chametz with a higher degree of confidence than in many older industrial environments. The next consideration is whether the microbes themselves pose a Pesach problem. Some rabbinic authorities investigate the genetic inputs used to design the microorganism, such as DNA fragments or plasmids, but from a Pesach perspective these materials are not chametz and do not ferment grain. They simply instruct the microbe to produce a desired protein. What matters is the microbial growth environment. If the growth medium contains vitamins, buffers, stabilizers, or emulsifiers that originate from grain-based alcohol or grain-derived additives, then certifiers must track those components back to their sources. Yet here, too, the biotechnology sector tends to rely on pharmaceutical-grade materials with transparent supply chains, making full documentation achievable and simplifying the halakhic evaluation. Another layer concerns equipment cost-sharing for Pesach. Standard dairy or meat plants may require intense cleaning, boiling, or blowtorch treatment of lines, but precision fermentation facilities already maintain stainless steel bioreactors cleaned through CIP/SIP, clean-in-place/steam-in-place protocols. These processes use high-temperature steam sterilization, which halakhically resembles koshering by Hagala or even Libin, often surpassing traditional standards. As a result, if chametz was never used, or if the equipment was new or sealed since installation, certifiers may find the pathway to Pesach approval far less complicated than in conventional factories. A final halakhic reflection involves precedents for new technologies on Pesach. Historically, rabbinic authorities have dealt with countless innovations, from potato starch to synthetic vitamins, and have applied the same core principles: identify the source materials, verify purity, remove or forbid anything fermented from grain, and treat ambiguous substances with caution. Precision fermented products fit naturally within that framework. Their novelty does not introduce new categories of chametz. It simply requires thorough investigation of each step of the production cycle. This structured investigation often works in the manufacturer's favor because modern biotech allows for exceptional precision and minimal ambiguity. All of this paints a cautiously optimistic picture. While Pesach kashrut is notoriously demanding, precision fermented foods may ultimately be easier, not harder, to certify for the holiday. With transparent substrates, well-documented supply chains, and sterile, dedicated equipment, these products have the potential to meet Pesach standards more cleanly than many everyday items on supermarket shelves. As more companies work proactively with kashrut agencies, The emerging field may not only comply with Pesach guidelines, but could become a model of technological clarity that simplifies the holiday's most complex regulations.